Hello, my name is Rich Howard, owner of Architectural Builders Supply. This video is to bring you a closer look at the Bommer, their part number F5005-500-13-613. This is a ball tip kit is what it is. This is used on the BB5005 hinge. Well, BB5005-500-613 is what it's used for. So a ball tip kit only. The decorative tips themselves, that's the ball style. There are different types of decorative tips. You have this common tip. It's not considered decorative, but the common tip that you'll get on a hinge is called a button tip. Looks like the button on your coat, I suppose. There's a ball tip. Of all the decorative tips, of the tips that are considered decorative, ball is by far the most common. But there's also urn tip, steeple tip, acorn tip. There are other variations on decorative tips from different manufacturers as well, and we're going to go over what Bommer produces in a moment. This specifically, in layman's terms, is for as much as you can put hinge terminology into layman's terms, I suppose. It is for a heavyweight 5-inch full mortise brass-based 5-knuckle hinge is what it's for. Because it's brass-based in the sense of the hinge that it's being used for, this pin is going to be stainless. Completely stainless. The tips will be brass. Give you some basic dimensional properties. Diameter of the pin, 0.344. That groove that you see there, that's intended for a security feature. If you had a non-removable pin, you would tighten that set screw into the barrel and it would seat into that groove that's there. The dimensions of the decorative ball tip itself, it has a diameter of about 0.713. Has an overall dimension. It would put it right at about 0.88, not that it matters, but 0.886. Okay, 0.886. How these install? Literally, they thread together. Many manufacturers of decorative tips will feature a threading principle. Some people who make decorative hinges, the pin doesn't get removed. You just thread in caps. What you ought to be purchasing with this at the same time is thread lock. There should be a thread lock product that is used to put on these threads so that it will keep the hinge tip in place much better. The action of opening and closing the door tends to work that ball tip loose, because what's happening is, as the knuckles are moved thousands and thousands of times, it works to extrude the pin. There's forces on the pin pushing the pin up. Because the weight of the door is coming down, it's pushing the pin up. And that will cause a tip to become loose. I was one time sitting at the dining room table and heard if I could take this ball tip and drop it on a tile floor, that's the sound that would make, is what I heard. And I realized immediately what had been happening, because the tips have been coming loose everywhere, the steeple tips on these hinges. And I decided, well, we're going to fix that problem. So thread lock really did it for me. And you can still remove it, but it keeps it in place much better. 613 means two things. It means it's made of bronze. It's really brass. Well, it's an alloy. It's architectural bronze, and with an oil rubbed bronze type feature. Type finish to it. Not type. It's a 613 finish. It's oil rubbed bronze. So that's what oil rub bronze would look like. This client ordered 3 of these pins. Obviously has one door with 3 hinges on it. That is a 5-inch heavyweight hinge. Let's switch to the screen view now, and let's take a closer look at some supporting information. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. So we'll start with looking at some photographs of the unit. Back side of the unit, obviously. Okay, and all assembled together. Now this is for a heavyweight hinge. It's for, we'll dissect the part number. There is a link below this video to the manufacturer's page that will allow you to open the Bommer How to Order matrix. This is for a BB5005 is what this is for. The part number is F5005. Then you have to say the size or indicate the height. It's a -500, and then of course they need to know what part it is, and apparently that's the part 13 in the part number, and then the finish. But it's for a BB5005 is the important aspect of that take. Now, the other tips that they offer, in addition to the button tip, you can do a ball tip, an acorn tip, or a steeple tip. I had mentioned urn earlier. They don't offer an urn tip, nor do they offer any of the other tips that we had mentioned. They do have a hospital tip. It's not a decorative tip. It's a treatment to the hinge, putting this aggressive bevel on that, and it's for ligature-resistant applications, or applications that require ligature-resistant hardware. Stainless steel pin are furnished when you're dealing with a brass or a stainless hinge. Steel hinges can also be supplied with stainless steel pins upon request, should you need, or brass pins. Okay, so those are the different tips. You can order that material, these ball tip kits, for any size, any finish, any base material application that you have, that you're dealing with Bommer. Now, that link also below this video to the manufacturer's page will allow us to pull up all of the Bommer products that we sell by means of this horizontal navigation as seen here. There's a link to the manufacturer's website. Their website at one time had showcased their lineage, and they most certainly do somewhere. 1876, the two brothers Bommer started the company, and their name is synonymous with spring hinges. This is the ubiquitous, well, this is probably a 3029 6x4.5 is what this is. This is a less common derivative of the 3029 with that 4.5-inch leaf. That would be for a cased opening. It'd probably be for a hollow metal by hollow metal cased opening frame, and then a hollow metal door. But this hinge is, if you've seen a Bommer hinge, it's most likely been a 3029. Lots of different hinge applications that they have here. Okay, gate springs, very typical. One thing they don't have on this tip is their logo. The Bommer logo says right above it, "Made in USA." That's a fact that Bommer is quite proud of, as are we to represent them. To add on to that, Made in the USA certificate. 100% of its products are manufactured in the United States using American labor and American-made raw materials. There you go. Okay, let's wrap up this video on camera. If you are enjoying this video, please click thumbs up or like, and also please consider subscribing to our channel. Let's move on to the rest of the video. In conclusion, it's not uncommon to sell just a hinge tip kit only. In fact, it's reasonably common. People will decide later that they'd like a decorative tip, and then they'll inquire whether or not their hinge is capable of having just that changed out. And it almost always is, unless you have a hinge that would be a residential or a riveted pin sort of scenario, or they don't have the tip that you want. I suppose that could be it as well. But every manufacturer will offer decorative tips as an option on their hinges that can be ordered originally with the hinges or ordered after the fact, and that's the case with this client. In fact, this client ordered a mess of hinges, and the hinges were in stock, but the ball tips were going to take 3 weeks. And the client said, well, let's do this. Let me place 2 orders. Let's get the hinges over here so I can get my doors hung, and then I'll go back and swap out the tips, and that's what the client's doing. I thought there were more than 3, though. Anyway, if there are any questions on the F5005-500-13-613 ball tip decorative hinge accessory or any other Bommer product, please feel free to reach out to us. And thank you. Again, thank you for watching, and if you've enjoyed this video, please click thumbs up. Please subscribe and maybe even send the video to someone that you know. Thank you.